Welcome back to the Shadow Business Guest Podcast. I cannot wait to introduce my next guest to you. We have actually met each other in London. It was a Christmassy event we were both at, and it was so fun seeing her. And yeah, she's really just really one big star of light. And she is actually specialized in sales. We're going to talk a lot about that and her mission in life and in business, how she wants to make sales more attainable for women specifically. Welcome to the show, Bea Lopez.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. And it was so much fun meeting you actually back then in London. And I was thinking, who is this person? I
Yeah,
remember.
because we have never seen each other or talked with each other
No.
before that, right? I don't think we even follow each other.
No, no, and it was very nice, and it was interesting because you were walking into the room. That's the reason why I was wondering. You were walking into the room like you've been there 1,000 times before.
Yeah, I went into the room with that energy. It was my first in-person event, and I was like, I'm going all in. But it's true, I have to say that because of my previous corporate job, I had like lots of experience with congresses, business events, etc. So I was not afraid of being like completely unknown in the group. But I made it my mission, okay, everyone is gonna know me today.
Yeah. Well, very good. Very good intention. Very smart. And this is also immediately the first lesson for our listeners. If you set the right intention, every investment, because you've made the investment to be there, not just the ticket, but also the travel and the time, it will be worth your while. I had the same experience also when I was in Freedom Queen Live last year. And yeah, it was, it's just a decision, right?
Yeah, no, of course it was. And it also made everything more fun for me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It makes it even more fun. So why, there's absolutely no reason not to do that, to have
of
that mindset.
course.
Yeah. And so that's so exciting because, and one more thing that you said, yeah, I have a lot of experience going to conferences and everything, congresses with your previous work, right? But I notice a gap. Um, Maybe I have experiences in the beginning as well from women who are pivoting because we're going to speak about that, right? You pivoted as well from a corporate job, but still, when women are pivoting with all the experience they have, they still feel like the smallest person in the room.
Yeah, I know that that's very common and it can happen. But at that moment for the event, I was so grounded into the mission and what I'm here to do that I was like, okay, I need to share it. Like they are going to think that I'm crazy, but I don't care because I truly believe in this. And I think that gives you such a force
Yeah,
that you take up a space without even trying.
yeah. And so, what you spoke about your mission? Can you tell us what your mission is in, well, maybe also in life, but specifically in business, please?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a little bit of the backstory, but I've been 15 years in sales, in medical device and pharmaceutical sales
Hmm.
mainly. And in the last 3 years, I've been fired twice for being too outspoken and not aligning with company values.
Hmm.
And that first experience, especially, it messed a lot my confidence and the way that I use my voice. So when the second time around happened, I said, okay, that's it. This is the sign. I'm not for corporate. I need to really go all in my business. And it became something bigger than just helping women make sales.
Yeah.
Like I really want for women to use their voice and never be dismissed again for their opinions so they can be fully expressing their brand and really grab attention, stand out. Like they can go into a room like I did that day in London and everyone is going to notice them. And that's what's going to create for them like more impact and recognition. So that's like my mission and the reason why I'm getting into so many podcasts because I want like as many women as possible to hear to my story,
Mhm.
and hoping I can help them and activate them to use their voice.
Yes. And that's something very interesting that I see with you. You know, we follow each other since London, and you're not. There is what has did did there have to be did there have to click something for you where you thought, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna go on the podcast like a maniac. I'm gonna say yes to everything. Was there a click, or is this just as Bea always was, or has something changed after you were fired for your second job?
Something clicked. I went to a second event in London too
Mm.
after Christmas, and after that event, I just thought, you know what, Instagram is just too small for me and for this mission. I'm never going to reach as many women as I want to reach just by posting on Instagram at the level that I am now. So how can I do it faster and how can I get bigger with my message? And I just thought, okay, I've always been good at communication. I've done many presentations during my life at my job, like for my company, for clients. I need to be speaking more, and not only with talking head reels in Instagram or with TikToks, but I need to really be getting into stages and not waiting to be big to be in those stages.
Yeah.
So that's where the idea of really not fighting, but really going after becoming a speaker came into my head, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna start with podcasts.
Yeah.
I think it's a very easy, non-pressure way to do it. And it clicked one day. I decided, I opened threads, and I just started seeing opportunities for podcast guesting.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah,
okay, so amazing. You know, you got the idea, you got the realization, you made it your own, and you're now doing it.
mhm.
Are there shadows or feelings that you have, or things that come up where you might be thinking, you know, oh, I should have done that better, or oh, this was maybe not the right podcast, or were there things that you noticed? Because this is the thing, you can decide something and then do it and then not continue doing it because of reason XYZ. Have you already experienced that, or is it maybe a little bit too soon to tell?
Being completely honest, I'm so grounded right now and so confident in what I'm doing, and I'm having such a positive response from people that I haven't stopped putting myself out there a single day since that decision.
Yeah.
That's why whenever I see an opportunity, I check if it might align with me, of course, but I just apply. And I'm like, why not? So even though I might not be an expert, or maybe I stumble into my words, or I make up words when I'm speaking because I'm not native English speaker, it's
Yes,
like
you're from Spain.
I don't care, you know. So I haven't had a doubt in that sense since that decision, and it actually feels like very good. It shows me that I'm in the right pathway, and it's very different from the last 2 years when I was like doubting myself like all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And that's always the thing, right? Before you get fired, or before there is a falling out or anything, there's already the whispers, right? You already feel it. It's building up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And so you've had that experience, which is of course gut wrenching. It's very annoying. Of course, being fired, you know, it really does something to your soul. Um, but it also gives you the experience and knowing, okay, if I ever feel this again, I recognize it immediately.
yeah.
And actually, there's, you know, me as a shadow business coach, there's no way actually to teach that. It's just something that you have to experience.
Yes, no, of course. Now I see it clearly. I don't think I would be today if it hadn't been for the last 2 years struggling so much with myself and my confidence and using my voice. It, so it had to be that way. It was part of the process.
Yeah. Yes. And yeah, it was part of the process, and it was just meant to happen. And so what was something that you've so okay, so you're currently helping women do that.
Mm-hmm.
In what way, what is your method? What do you strongly believe in?
The first thing that we do, and I developed kind of like the attention method. It has three main layers. One is really working with your identity, any mindset blocks, any energetic blocks that you could have, and to become that person that is very grounded and very confident using your voice. And the only way that you're going to be using your voice with confidence is that if you really know yourself and you are able to embrace every part of you, even the bad parts of or the mistakes that you've made, because it's part of your story.
Mm-hmm.
And then we bring that into the second layer, which is everything on the front of the brand, on the outside, like your content, the way that you're showing up, how you're interacting with people at networking events, um, different ways of getting visible. And then we turn that into more conversions and your sales, which is your third pathway. And we create more touch point or more ways for people to get in touch with you. So we increase your sales.
Perfect. And oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I thought there was another part, so I was just quiet. No, but that's in fact amazing, and it's also you're also doing that yourself
Yeah.
for yourself
Hmm.
to yourself in your business, and um, um, yeah, and so what do you see with your clients are their results, and yes, okay, getting more sales, but I feel like there must also be another byproduct of that, right? The confidence and
Yeah. Of course, like I don't want to focus on just the numbers and the sales, because I
mm,
don't think that's the most important thing by any means. Um, but just who they become, like seeing them struggling to sell themselves or
yeah,
struggling to set boundaries with clients or even with people in their personal life, and then becoming someone that is very grounded in themselves,
yeah,
and they are not affected as much by opinions or limiting beliefs from someone else, and they start taking so much action, and obviously everything compounds, and that's how the sales happen. But I don't like to focus just on the numbers, which everything with the numbers sounds very flashy, but this is about who you become and how you feel when you are taking all those actions and showing up and making that money. That's what I care. Like if you're making 1 billion but you are not happy and you are struggling behind the scenes, like I'm not for that.
yeah. No, definitely. And you see this a lot as well, right? Some people, me as a business coach, I see some people come to me and they actually created a monster, their business, right? And
Yeah.
they really don't like it. And one of the things that most people don't like is the sales process because they find it very hard. And they really have to, really work on themselves to actually make a sale, whilst it could be so much easier. So um, when when you look at sales and helping women make sales, what do you see are the biggest shadows? And those are so shadows are the hidden, so kind of the parts that you hide unconsciously, right? That you don't
Yeah.
really know that you're hiding them. So maybe they're ashamed, or you just said, they're afraid of selling themselves. Or let me share something with you. When I was studying, I'm from the Netherlands. I'm from Amsterdam. I was studying here. And I was a sales representative at Lush soap
Hmm.
store. And Lush is very good at sales, actually, because the products don't sell themselves, right? You really have to explain what it is. What is this? It smells. I don't know if you've ever been to a Lush, but
Yes.
yeah, okay. So so you have to really work for the sale. And I am gonna brag here. I was really good at it. It was so easy for me. I would upsell, downsell, cross sell. I didn't care. I knew everything there was to know about sales. It was interesting that I learned it then, at the beginning of my 20s, whilst it wasn't really my profession. I studied to be a museum museum professional. Anyway, Then, I started my first business during my studies as well, and then I was an interim manager for a long time. I didn't really have to sell because I went from kind of client to client, right? It was far more, hush hush, less hard selling, right? Then I became a business coach, and I thought, ooh, this is something else, and selling a soap because it's about me.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, you're
yeah, and yeah, sorry, what did you want to say?
no, I was going to say I was just reflecting like, yeah, you're so right. Like, it's not the same because it's you that you're putting in the line.
Yeah, who cares if somebody doesn't like the honey I wash the kids soap? I didn't make it. I didn't think of it. But if somebody is saying no, thank you to you, it becomes very personal. And yeah, the shadow is gone, right? Because I went to sell like a maniac as well because I thought I want to get rid of this shadow, right? I didn't like it. But what do you see? What are the most common shadows in sales? What are things? So for my listeners that they know, if you experience this, what that it's common or that you see it or what they can do about it.
Yeah, well, like you said, one of the things is that, of course, it's you in the line,
Yeah.
and your reputation, so to speak. But another thing, and I'm seeing this a lot lately, when people say, no, I don't like salespeople, I don't like being salesy, I don't want to bother. The thing underneath is that you are afraid to actually saying no to someone when someone is selling to you. So that's why you are not selling, you don't want to bother because you are also not wanting to hear no from the other person. So it's all about, I'm not able to say no because I'm going to make the other person feel bad. And maybe I'm a people pleaser in my life or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel rejected if someone says no to me.
Yeah.
That's something like one of the, and I've struggled with that myself on the internet actually, when in my job, in my corporate job, people were saying no and I didn't care.
No, who cares?
I yeah, I didn't care because it was never like a full, like there were a couple full on like no's never, but normally it was like not right now or not
Yeah,
this product,
sure.
maybe another.
Yeah.
Um, but I started actually practicing saying no to people if an offer doesn't fit for me for whatever reason and not feeling bad about it. And the more you
Yeah.
do it, the more detached you are from it.
I think
But
that's
the
such a valuable lesson. Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt, but I
no,
really
no,
want
of
to,
course.
else I'm going to forget. I know myself.
Mm.
But the thing is with this is that if you are afraid to say no to someone else, that's probably also why the reason why you avoid doing the sales. Very good
Yes.
realization. I think I never thought of it this way actually. And yeah, thank you. Sorry, please continue.
No, the other thing I was going to say is that when you were talking about your last job, I actually, when I started in sales, at some point in time, I was working at Geneva's duty-free airport,
Hmm.
and I was selling perfumes and high-end cosmetics. And it was probably one of the like most fun jobs that I ever
Yes.
had. I remember that period with lots of like good memories because I thought it was just so fun when you had a client that had time
Yeah.
and you were playing with them what perfume could really make them like
Feel a certain way.
yeah, exactly.
No.
So one of the things that I realized is, of course, it wasn't my product, yeah, for sure. I didn't make it mean anything about me if they said no, but I also made it fun.
Yeah.
And I think we need to gamify a little
Yeah.
bit more selling and not get
Yes.
so strict about, okay, I need to sell, I need to look for professional, I need to say this or that.
Yeah.
So we make it such uh, a strict process
Yeah.
and that it contracts you inside.
Yeah.
So that's I think something more important. We need to start having more fun when we sell.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And the thing with this is also there's a few things that I want to say about this because I've also taught launching, right? And this is all the different phases, right? First, actually really make people excited and not say anything
Mm.
yet, and then share a story, and then, okay, yes, let's go. And then, yeah, boom, here it is, that. And those are all the different launch phases. And I mean, they apply to everything. But the thing with those brands that we worked for, either on the airport or in my case, Lush, is that they had already built that brand. And that's why it was also easy to sell, I believe.
Mm.
And
Of
and
course.
so that's also, with sales, this, that, yeah, okay, sure, you can be good in a sales conversation, but if somebody doesn't feel anything with you, when they it's going to be very difficult to actually make that sales conversation. It was also difficult for me in the beginning. Yeah, I also had no idea what I was doing. Yeah, I did know, but I did not really have a brand yet. I didn't have a signature style yet. I do now, but it's also that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. And it's true that you have to go through that process and build that brand. And I think that's one of the hardest things in business at the
yeah,
beginning, like building the brand and the awareness and
yeah,
becoming in demand. But all that structure that of course it works the same as the content strategy, everything. I think it also kills a little bit of the fun
yeah.
and the creativity with it.
And so, how would you add fun if you're a one-person business owner? Maybe your brand is not really yet perfect, but what is something that you think, oh, I would love to see that more in the online business space, for instance?
Just do the opposite of what you've been doing.
Yeah,
Test yourself, and if you always record at home, record yourself on the street. If you
yeah,
always do carousel, do talking head. If you always launch in 6 weeks, maybe try 3,
yeah,
or take even longer time. Just change it. Like, for example, I'm having this idea of I'm just going to launch a mystery offer, and I'm not going to even say what the offer is about. I don't know the structure. I'm going to trust that it's going to come into my head at the right time.
yeah,
And maybe that way I'm going to make it even more fun for me and for people.
yeah, yeah. Good. Yes, I'm doing this too all the time. Still, I'm doing every launch differently. And it's so strange why and how that works. Also, depending on the offer, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but, but it's right now, for instance, I'm launching my Wealth Icon Mastermind, and I've created an ebook. I don't think I ever, yeah, well, I did this really in the beginning. And I thought, okay, let's just write an ebook. Let's just not care. And I'm going to do a challenge, and I'm going to do it really by the playbook. But now it's so much easier to do that is this because I have all this experience, this fun experience, and at one point you can really play and have so much fun with it, right? And but you can also do it in the beginning. I think that's really really a good advice there.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
And when you are passionate about it
Yeah,
and you really like when you are really loving what you're doing, I think that's key.
yeah,
I mean, everything just feels so much lighter. Of course, there are things that you need to do that you might not like, but it's a totally different energy.
yeah. Yes, yes, it is. Yeah, and you have to be very convicted about the offer, but also about the sales strategy that you really believe also in what you're doing in your sales process. Perfect.
Yeah.
I want to talk about something else, and something that we both have in common, and we spoke about this, I think, also on Threads, or I don't remember. But running your business in a different language, in English.
Oh,
What's
yes.
that like for you?
Well, in my case, and this is a limiting belief that I've tried kind of work through, but it's like reality keeps proving me that I'm right. So, and it's the fact that I feel like the online world in Spanish is still like very close-minded.
Yeah. Same in the
Maybe
Netherlands, actually.
Yeah, maybe in LATAM, in Latin America, people are more open because they have the influence of the States and they have like international mentors. But I'm getting in touch with communities here more of businesswomen, and I still like I see it, I
Yeah.
feel it. like the energy, the mentality, and I mean, I'm not saying anything wrong about them,
Oh,
but it just feels like so marketing outdated, heavy for me. And I like the fact that when like someone in America or like in the English speaking world, they just create a business out of like the Lulu magic fairy unicorns, and everything is more relaxed. And yes, there's a strategy, but everything moves faster. So for me, when I started playing with my business, I started in Spanish, but something didn't click right, and I started getting like more into the international coaches and things like that. And I decided, okay, if I ever want to go like really big and have a worldwide mission, um, I think with English, I'm actually going to reach even more people. Like I know so many people speak Spanish in the world, but still, I think I'm going to reach more people in English. I might have some difficulties, maybe the accent or limitations because my English is not perfect, but it's like, I don't care.
yeah. No, exactly. And so, yeah, I had the same, right? So when I started my business, it was also already immediately in English. But there were moments that I was thinking, ah, yeah, it's going to be much easier in Dutch.
Yes, I know, but
Well, yeah.
um, I have one of my mentors and good friends. Her business is in Spanish. She's been
Mm,
around for 7 years, and she always tells me you would stand out so much in Spanish because people need your work. They need it. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? Like building
yeah.
a business is already like hard work. I
Mm.
don't want to be fighting with people's mentality.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah,
understand what I mean? I
definitely
think it's
100%. I think,
yeah.
I mean, we're both from obviously different countries, but there are similarities between Europeans versus, let's say, Americans. And so it's not just the language, right? You're also having the cultural barrier removed when you're operating your business in English. And in the beginning, I would actually create a lot of content in English, right? I had my podcast, an English newsletter, everything, Instagram. And then I would actually only have Dutch clients because of the algorithm, right? Because when you're based somewhere, and it's a little bit less now, but in the beginning it was really like that. And then I wanted to expand more, so that's why I went to international events and all those things, right? But the same as you. But the thing was, I didn't care that I only had Dutch clients. I think it was after 1.5 year. No, well, I already had international clients actually, but those were I was working private, right? But the thing was, um, I really and I remember speaking to my mentor about this. I think I was 2 years in my business, and I said, "Ooh, it would be so much easier to do this in Dutch because I really have something unique to say, and it's going to be really perfect for the Netherlands." But then actually she said, yeah, don't do it because you have something so valuable. And so, for instance, we for there is one author that comes to mind in the Netherlands, a Dutch author, and he's really popular here, and he tries to make it internationally. It's not working for this person. It's a bestseller writer in the Netherlands, but it's just not working because he has this very Dutch mentality, and
Mhm.
you win with that Dutch mentality. But I don't really. Yes, of course, I add a little bit of Dutchness to what I'm doing, but I have a very international outlook, and so you can't. The thing is when you start in your own language, it's even more difficult going international. That's really my opinion on this. I wonder if you agree or not.
Yeah, I mean, because I went really fast into English directly.
Yeah,
I don't know how things would be if I had kept going in Spanish, being honest. But like I said, I try to work through my limiting belief, interacting with a businesswoman in Spanish, and I keep seeing like that energy, that
yeah,
mentality,
yeah,
and it's like, okay, yeah, reality is proving to me that I'm right.
yeah.
Like they are not yet ready for this work, even though the industry is waking up. The way they operate is different, and it's like I feel much more aligned, and I feel like I belong much more in the international world.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I went to an in-person event here and I said out loud, I'm going to be the first millionaire in my family, and I want women to become millionaires, so
Yeah.
or billionaires, so
Whatever. Yeah.
we make the world a better place. And everyone, I think it was like, she's claiming she wants to be a millionaire, even though there were people that they have a successful business. I don't think they are close to being millionaires because they don't allow themselves to think that big,
Yeah.
you know?
Or also to hold on to that wealth. Actually, that's really
Hmm.
my street. And but yeah, that's true. You're so right. And but that's very much with the European history, the shame around having money. And then, for instance, the people in the US are so much easier about that, right? They don't care. They cheer you on when you say that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what to say. I guess it's just in that sense, maybe I was lucky because my upbringing, even though we were just a regular family, money was always like something neutral for us. And my parents, they didn't hesitate to invest money in things that matter, like traveling, to give us the international experience, like helping us to study abroad. So I think that that changed my relationship with money a
Yep.
lot, and that's why I see everything from like a very open lens.
Yep. No, your upbringing, and that's what we do with my shadow work, really influences the way you look at life, but specifically also money, and and the way that you look at your children, in your case, your parents, that you have this career now, you're doing this now, and it's because of them, and it's because of the
Yeah,
effort they put in. But also with the community that you were speaking to in the event, most of them did not have that experience, so also their behavior is logical. It's logical that they respond that way. And
of course.
yeah. And yeah. So yeah, it's interesting when I'm thinking about this, is there's, in my case, a lot of Dutch people working with me. I think it's about 40% Dutch people, 60% everywhere else. And I think they also work with me because I have this international approach. So that's also something that you might attract as well, right? So with Spanish people who feel the same way as you. And I feel that's also very powerful and also very needed, because you cannot be the only Spanish person who thinks this way. Or
No,
maybe you
I
are.
hope I hope I'm not. And I
No.
hope to find those people, and I
Yeah.
hope they find me, because it would make me super happy to find people that say, "Hey, I really want to be a millionaire, so help
Yes.
me make more sales."
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how you get that, right? By having this neutral idea around money, but also around sales, and not putting your ego actually also in the way of your sales process, and you're helping women do that.
Yeah, of
So,
course.
Bea, do you want to add something to the discussion or the conversation? And you thought, I really wanted to share this one last thing, question I didn't ask or anything.
Um, I'm very happy with the conversation.
I liked it
The
too.
only thing is that I just want to say that when you are in the messy middle and everything feels like nothing is clicking and you almost want to quit,
Yeah.
don't. Just keep going.
That's a great advice. Exactly. And that's also, as is proven with your story, but with all the other guests that I've spoken so far in the podcast, right? But also all my friends and clients who went through this. It's exactly where, in the messy parts, that's where the growth is. And that's what makes life so interesting.
Yeah, of course.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope to see you back next week in our next guest podcast on the Shadow Business Guest Podcast. So every Tuesday, there will be a new guest. And every Thursday, there will be a regular episode for you. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope to see you soon. Bye.